What's going on, you guys? Today we're going to be learning the song Knowing You by Kenny Chesney. This song is super fun and has a ton of interesting chords. I love this kind of stuff and I'm so excited to teach it to you. But before we get into it, I would like to ask that if you find this guitar tutorial helpful, that you please consider subscribing. With that out of the way, let's get into it. You are watching Logan's Lessons. You don't need a capo for this song, but other than that, you just need to know that we are in the 6/8 meter, which means basically instead of counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 like we normally do, it's going to be a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It has that swing to it, and the emphasis is on the 1, 4, 1, 4. We will start with the intro, which has effectively 4 chords. We start with the G major chord. To play a G major chord, we will place our third finger on the 3rd fret of our low E string, our first finger on the 2nd fret of our A, our third finger way down here on the 3rd fret of our B string, and our pinky finger on the 3rd fret of our high E. That is a G major chord. Then we travel down to a G sus2 over F sharp, which sounds a lot more complicated than it is. We're going to leave these 2 fingers down here, our third finger and our pinky finger on the 3rd frets of our B and E respectively. All we have to do is put our first finger on the 2nd fret of our low E. So your first finger is going to be on the 2nd fret of your low E, and these fingers down here stay the same. So you're coming from a G to a G sus2 over F sharp, and then to an E minor 7. To play an E minor 7, all you have to do is take this first finger down a string to the A string. Like that. So your first finger is on the 2nd fret of your A. Like that. Okay, and then finally we have a D sus4. To play a D sus4, we're going to take that first finger and move it down 2 more strings to the 2nd fret of our G. That's a D sus4. Now technically though, in the intro, I like to play this little lick in the place of the D sus4. To do that, we are going to slide up from the 2nd fret up to the 4th fret of our D string with our ring finger. Do that with me. Play the open G string, and then the 2nd fret of the G string with our index finger. So, G, G sus2 over F sharp, to E minor 7, and then you have... Now regarding our right hand, we have a down, 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 up. 3 downs and then an up. Down, 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 up, down, 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 up, down, 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 up, down, down, down. Like this. G, G sus2 over F sharp to E minor 7. And then you have... So if I play that... One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3. Do that with me. Again. Very good. Moving on, we have the verse. You start out the same way from the G major chord to G sus2 over F sharp to E minor 7. At the D sus4, instead of playing this, we play this. To do that, you strum the G, B, and high E strings together with the D sus4 chord I showed you earlier. Now the trick here is that you originally don't have your index finger down. You hammer that on right after the first strum. So you only have your ring finger on the 3rd fret of your B and your pinky on the 3rd fret of your high E. But you hammer that first finger onto the 2nd fret of your G string immediately after you strum. Then you take that finger back off, strum the strings again, this time not hammering on, and then one last strum, this time you include the D string. So, do that with me. A little faster now. One more time. So in context, perfect. That gets us into the second half of the verse chord progression, where you start with a C sus2 chord. To play a C sus2 chord, you will put your third finger on the 3rd fret of your A string, your first finger on the 1st fret of your B string, and your pinky finger on the 3rd fret of your high E string. That's a C sus2 chord. Same strumming pattern. Then to a G again, and then an A minor 7. To play an A minor 7, you'll put your middle finger on the 2nd fret of your D string, and your first finger on the 1st fret of your B string. So that second half will be a that A minor 7 goes twice as long as any of the other chords. So the whole chord progression for the verse will sound like this. Do that with me. Very good. That is the verse. Moving on, we have a pre-chorus. The pre-chorus has the same strumming pattern as in the verse, but we start on an E minor chord. To play an E minor chord, you will put your middle finger on the 2nd fret of your A, and your 3rd finger on the 2nd fret of your D string. That's an E minor chord. Moving along, we have a B7 over D sharp, which is like my favorite chord ever. You're going to put your 1st finger on the 1st fret of your D string, your 3rd finger on the 2nd fret of your G string, and your pinky on the 2nd fret of your high E. It's so fancy and so good. Okay, so you have that E minor, so B7 over D sharp, and then you have a G over D, which is basically a G major chord without these top 2 fingers, and you just strum from the D string downwards. And then you have an E minor over C sharp, which is your 3rd finger on the 4th fret of your A string, and your 1st finger on the 2nd fret of your D. So I'll play through the verse chord progression once going into the pre-chorus so you understand how it flows. That last chord you kind of build up, down, 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 down. And that leads you into the chorus. Do that with me. One more time. Chorus time. We start on our good friend, the C sus2 chord. Okay, here I would like to mention that for the chorus in the recording, the strumming pattern does not change. But for dynamic's sake, especially if you're just playing this on acoustic guitar, you don't have any band. I mean, no electric, no drums, no keys, no nothing. I like to introduce some variety, and so here's what I propose. Down, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up, down. That kind of strumming pattern. So if I do that slowly, it's a down, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up, down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Do that with me. 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you go from that C sus2 to a G to G sus2 over F sharp. But the G and the G sus2 over F sharp get half as much time as the C sus2. So do that with me. One more time. So the C sus2 to the G sus2 over F sharp happens 3 times, like this. Then you you go to an E minor chord, which is like with your middle finger on the second fret of your A and your third finger on the second fret of your D, if you remember. And that gets as much time as the C sus2 does. So. To an A7 chord. To play an A7 chord, you will place your middle finger on the second fret of your D string and your third finger on the second fret of your B. So I'll do what we have so far with the strumming pattern. Do that with me. Very good. Now we're into the last line of this behemoth. We go from a normal C major chord, which is your third finger on the third fret of our A string, your middle finger on the second fret of your D, and your first finger on the first fret of your B string, to a G major chord, which we've already learned, to an A minor. To play an A minor chord, we're going to put our middle finger on the second fret of our D string, our third finger on the second fret of the G, and your first finger on the first fret of your B string. And finally, to a D major. For a D major chord, you're going to put your first finger on the second fret of your G string, your third finger on the third fret of your B string, and your middle finger on the second fret of your high E. Go. And that leads you right back into the intro. Now allow me to demonstrate the entire chorus for you. Back into the intro. Do that with me. Moving on, we have a second verse, a second pre, and a second chorus, all of which are identical to their previous counterparts. That second chorus, however, drops us into an instrumental section, where we'll be playing the same strumming pattern as the verse, going from a C, C again, to a G, to D, like this. You do that whole chord progression twice. And that gets you into another pre, another final chorus, and then an outro, which is identical to the intro, and you land on a big, fat G major chord. And that's how you play Knowing You by Kenny Chesney. If you have a song request, please comment it or DM me. If you wish to be notified of future videos, please hit the bell. I sincerely hope that you are well. Please do me a favor and hit that like button blue. I'd really, really appreciate it if you subscribe too. I hope this video has been a blessing. You've been watching Logan's Lessons.